If you want to live like you matter, ditch the pills, look great, and feel freaking amazing, you're in the right place. I'm Dr. Wendy Trudeau.
And I'm Dr. Ed Levitan. Welcome to the Feel Freaking Amazing podcast,
where we empower you to live a vibrant and healthy life by optimizing your structural, chemical, emotional, social, and spiritual lives.
Hold on to your hats. We're going to talk today about mold and mycotoxin. Can you tell us a little bit about why are we talking about it? I mean, it's just some little thing over there that's maybe a little black. Why would we care?
But mold is this wrecking ball, is what I call it. It is so powerful, it is so strong, and it's so hidden because it's hard to put a finger on it because it's either non-visible, you can't see it because it's inside of a wall, you don't necessarily always smell it, but it is a neurotoxin, a neuroinflammatory toxicity. It shuts down your liver, your mitochondria. And I'll tell you this, as a guy that went through Lyme, I would rather deal with Lyme disease all day than deal with somebody that has mold, as far as the fact that it's just more difficult. Like I do love working with mold clients now, but it's just Lyme is easier because mold, you got to talk about where do you live? Where have you lived? Are you in a safe environment today? What food are you eating? We get to talk about with mold, you know, what's your genetic factors that may make you more sensitive to mold or where you're going into hotels. And I mean, just to put this out there for people, mold has been used as a bioweapon and an immunosuppressant in medicine. So that's how powerful mold can be.
Yep. Yep. And don't forget kids in schoolhouses and schools.
Oh, gosh.
That's the thing that really kills me.
You know, I've got a kid that was in school and she was depressed and anxious and cutting herself and nauseous and losing weight. And then she started developing OCD and food avoidances. And I mean, the list could just go on. I could just talk and talk and talk. And we were trying to figure out where this mold was. And the parents were whatever it takes kind of parents. So they tested their home. Immaculate. Perfect. Went to school and it was 10 times higher than the top of the range on a hurts me, because we just started with a hurts me at the school. And that's a type of mold test using dust collection for those that didn't know, 10 times higher. When she moved out of there within 3 weeks, her neurological symptoms were cut in half.
Yeah. Yeah. Isn't it scary? I don't know how many kids I've seen that either have mold or Lyme that and not a Prozac deficiency. That it's scary how many kids are on medicine when they really have something going on. So it hurts my heart. So let's talk about how do you test, because that's not that easy either.
No, so for me, it's a multitude of different processes. So I'm going to take all your symptoms, of course. I'm going to see what those symptoms are. And with mold, a lot of the times symptoms can be vast because they're going to cause those fatigue and brain fog symptoms, anxiety, even to the level of like paranoia or dissociation. I see a lot of brain symptoms with mold. So I look at the symptoms and the assessments. But then when it comes to the lab testing, which is I think the target your question was going toward, there's different testing like Richie Shoemaker came out with, which is the C4A, MSH, VIP. These are different blood labs that are markers. Oftentimes I associate it for people when I'm trying to explain it to inflammation markers or immune system markers. So you're looking for a change in those pieces inside your body. But then there's also urine testing where you can test for different particles coming out through your urine. So you're looking, say, for a mycotoxin, which is a particle that mold releases. And that mycotoxin could be named ochratoxin A. And we're looking for that in your urine. And that's one way to do it. And none of the testing is perfect, by the way. But then the last way that I use is using organic acid testing. And there's a few organic acids that have been now correlated with different types of mold colonization or mold inside your body. So you can find Aspergillus or Fusarium in those forms in the body that way. So those are kind of my more direct ways. But then now, being that I've been doing this for years, and I just see a lot of patterns. I love finding patterns. Yeah. If I look at an organic acid test or any sort of testing that is directed toward mitochondria, and if I see suppression in your mitochondria, the first two things that come up in my brain is this person living in a place where they're drinking radioactive water, which about half of the United States is. If you look at ewg.org, you just go look and see what's in the water supply. You might find uranium, radon, those sorts of things. They're living in a basement that's full of radon or mold. Those are my two go-tos when I see a lot of suppression in mold. So if your organic acid test has more than 2 to 3 markers, that's one of the first places I'm going to start just looking into for you to go, is this something that's possible for that person? So those are some of my favorite ways to test for mold. But none of them are perfect, because if your body is too stressed out and it's depleted from minerals and you don't have the ability to detoxify at the time, or maybe you moved out of mold, so now you don't have fresh mold coming in, that urine test might be negative without some provocation. I don't love provoking. It is something that can be done, but I don't love to provoke, because sometimes if you provoke, now you send that client into a detox reaction. So there's a lot of different things that a person can have done for them to find mold. Just make sure you find a good practitioner that understands what they're doing with these tests and how to interpret them for the conditions that you're in. And that's the biggest importance I tell people with mold testing. Like, you can't find it. You just need to get the right practitioner to help you get there, because depending upon your body and its strengths, you have to test differently.
Inspire and empower someone else by leaving a 5-star review.
So they can transform their lives too.